Hello everyone, welcome back to Discovering Dawson's Creek here on the It's a Wonderful Podcast YouTube channel. I feel like, Janine, we are thoroughly ramping up in quality of episodes in this season of Dawson's Creek at the moment, especially.
Yeah.
I feel like we've been ramping up in terms of engagement and, emotion for the past few episodes, definitely. And I feel like I've said that on episodes of this show, but I felt a quality shift, like a TV quality episode shift within these couple of episodes, I think, mainly because of the second episode we've got going on today, which it just goes deeper than the show itself, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's like it's actually trying to say something, which I don't think is often the case in Dawson's Creek. It's just presenting its own world as its own world and its characters, how they, deal with what's going on for them within that world.
Yeah.
But the second episode we have today speaks to a bigger picture, I think, and to an extent, the first episode as well. We have episodes, is it 15 and 16
I believe
of season 3? It is, yes, episodes 15 and 16 of season 3 of Dawson's Creek today. Crime and Punishment and To Green with Love. Sidney Poitier is nowhere to be seen, but we have another very well-respected black teacher for the students to rally behind in that second episode. A lot of craziness going on today. Joey's painting murals for the school. Vandalism occurs. Andy reveals a lot of her, ill intent from the early part of the season. Well,
it seemed like it's been a while for that to come back around again, but yeah.
Definitely, but you've always said one thing you've always said in me discovering Dawson's Creek is that Dawson's Creek will 95% of the time when it brings up storylines, it pays them off.
Yes.
Which has now been paid off in that sense fully quite a long while later. It's great. Should we get straight on into it?
Let's do it.
In episode 15, Crime and Punishment.
Yes, Crime and Punishment, episode 315, Facing the Consequences.
Oh, lots of consequences.
Yes.
I mean, it's not, is it Dostoevsky, Crime and Punishment? Is that the novel?
I think
I've seen the movie with Peter Lorre.
Joey is chosen to be part of a group of students to paint a school mural, but when hers is defaced before the unveiling, Dawson offers words of encouragement while Pacey takes action and risks suspension when he goes in search of the culprit. Meanwhile, Andy's PSAT scores rank among the best in the country. She gambles with everything she has worked for and comes clean to Principal Green about the previously stolen test. And Pacey moves in with Deputy Doug when their sister and her kids move back into the Witter house.
Yes, not that we see Pacey's sister and her kids. That's a tiny little storyline of this episode, but
we will meet another. Yes, we will meet another.
Name is Deputy Doug.
Yes,
it sounds like a children's TV cartoon character.
Well, if you notice, that's what Pacey kind of calls him all the time, just mockingly.
Maybe it is. Maybe I haven't noticed that. He literally sounds like an animated children's.
Yes, hence why Pacey constantly calls him that. But yes, we will meet a Witter sister later down the line, but this is not a sister. Yeah.
I mean, I find it interesting how Doug actually welcomes him. I mean, where's all this come from? Like being Doug, even Doug being nice to Pacey somewhat in more recent episodes, at least having the time to hear him speak about his crush. You know, this wasn't the Doug from seasons 1 and 2. Where's this come from all of a sudden?
Well, do we not like it?
In his old age?
Do we not
We
like
do
it?
like it. I'm just questioning, like, this is a
Kind of out of nowhere.
change, of out of nowhere change, I feel,
Well, I think
from Douglas.
maybe he's actually genuinely seeing the change in Pacey. I think, like, his dad
Possibly.
his dad seeing that change as well, talking to Andy and kind of them having that moment. Maybe a similar thing happened with Doug.
Moment.
Yeah, a very brief moment because he's still very much kind of on Pacey's case. Probably especially now more than ever that he's not with Andy anymore. But
Mm.
yeah, I think maybe he is seeing a bit of a change in Pacey. He's seeing how much Pacey's investing in Joey and helping her in things. So maybe he's just noticing that a little bit more. And so he's kind of cutting his brother a little bit of slack. So
I mean, fair. I mean, he should be. I like it. I
yeah,
just
just
maybe didn't expect this
okay.
from Doug Witter.
Yeah.
And I feel it's nice that, he allows Pacey to move in after his room has been taken over. But again, Pacey is the lead of the show now, isn't he, really? Dawson can just scooch off to the side somewhere.
Yeah.
Pacey takes full center stage. Here is an episode as well that absolutely defines the different people that Dawson and Pacey are. Because Joey's painting this mural, right? Yes, it's got a lot of meaning to it. It's something different to everybody else's mural that's being painted at the school that's just generic. Oh, we're in
Minuteman
New
and
England, have
yeah.
a lighthouse, have the Minuteman, have some boats and the
Yeah.
cape. No. Joey's going for a more philosophical idea, painting. Is it Chinese characters or Japanese characters?
Japanese characters, I think, yeah.
That represent a kind of
unity, yeah,
unity and positivity and these kind of things. So it goes a lot deeper. Now, this is defaced. This is vandalized by a particularly terrible person who is the cause of the next episode's strife as well.
Yeah.
What's he called? Matt Caulfield.
Yeah, we met him.
I vaguely recognized as an actor as well. I don't know the actor's name, but I vaguely recognized him, and I don't think it was just from previous episodes of Dawson's Creek.
Let me see.
I think it's because he looks a little bit like John
Cusack. I think a little bit. Well, these particular synopses that I printed out decades ago, they actually have like actor names and things of like.
Oh no! I searched this guy up. I have definitely not seen anything else with him in.
Okay.
I've got no idea why.
It's just maybe the John Cusack thing.
Possibly.
But he was the person who like threw that party on the golf course in the last episode that we covered. So he was introduced already as a character in the show previously. So yeah, he comes back now as kind of like big man on campus who defaces this mural. But we don't find that out
for no good reason.
He really doesn't have a good reason, just entitlement, and like he doesn't need to see some poor little girl's message of unity every morning, like it just makes him want to puke kind of thing. And maybe it's a racial thing about it because it was like a Japanese type thing, because he does kind of insinuate, and these two episodes do insinuate a bit of kind of racial stereotypes and kind of racial discrimination things, which I was very proud of the show for kind of delving into. But at the same time, like in the same hand, they're also getting rid of like prominent Black characters that they introduced on the show at the same time. I applaud them, but I also
double-edged sword there, isn't it? Really,
two things. It's a very much my case.
We've had our race storyline now, so we don't have to focus on any of that anymore.
Check.
Box tick. Well done, Kevin. I've done it again. It might feel a little bit like that.
A little bit like that. So it's very much a case of two things can be true. You can commend them for really delving into kind of a white privileged character who's very discriminatory, narrative being shaped around a character who's Black, and that being commentated on, which I love that they give this stuff to Bodhi, so Bodhi gets a little bit of stuff to do and
Yes, because
kind of
he's never had
speak to
anything to do
yes,
at all.
exactly, and speak to his experience as being a Black person in this very white town, in this very white family. So I love that he's the one who kind of straight calls it out, and Bessie, like, she can't handle, like, it's kind of, and then we kind of get to see allyship not really wanting to kind of face the experiences of other people, really, like Bessie kind of getting
Yeah.
upset when she kind of learns that that's really what's happening and not wanting to really believe that kind of thing. So I commend the show really for not shying away from kind of saying that those are the reasons that Principal Green's being targeted in the way he is in the next episode. So we'll definitely get into that. But yeah, I think, without saying it too much, I think also the reason he defaced the mural is because it was, um, you know, kind of expressing things of a different culture, and he also didn't like that because in the
I
same
would
breath
believe that.
he talks about him being white and privileged, and that's kind of and rich, and that's all he needs, kind of thing. So
Yeah, I would definitely believe that. However, I think that's idiotic racism.
yes,
Not just regular racism. This is
no, it's just like
particularly
extra.
idiotic racism.
It's extra racism for what? Like,
Because this is going to sound odd. In a strange way, I would understand the racism more had if Joey wasn't white. Like, if Joey herself was not white, then
yeah,
Matt Caulfield would have more
yeah,
understandable racist reason to then go and deface her
yeah,
mural.
because
But
he
it's got
doesn't like
literally
that
nothing
group
to
of
do with
people.
her at
Yeah,
all. So
yes,
it's weird, idiotic racism. And
yes.
all racism is idiotic, of course it is, but this is just particularly numb.
Yes, how he singles her out, and maybe it has something to do with class as well, Joey being poor and,
Probably.
the mixed
Yes.
family
I mean,
issue as
that
well.
makes more
Yes,
sense.
and the mixed family aspect as well. So father being a criminal and sister unwed with a Black man and mixed child and all this kind of being poor.
Yeah.
So maybe all of that culminating just offends him. Joey as a person offends him, and the fact that
I
she's
mean, yeah.
promoting
Sure.
something of a different culture to speak to unity, he doesn't like that either because he thinks of himself as better than that. So there are a ton of kind of veiled reasons that just kind of bounce around for why this guy hates this thing, but all of them just are stupid. So
Yes,
yeah.
he is very, very suddenly a very villainous character in this
Yes, he's just
show.
gross. But I like that they go there and make him say those things. Like
Oh yeah, they're not
yes.
afraid to. It is
Yes.
commendable that they're not afraid to, and we give all this context. We explain all this to say Dawson and Pacey are two
Pacey handle it very
distinctly,
differently.
drastically different people. Dawson's
Yes.
all kind of quiet and reassuring and wordy about it. He's offering assurance to Joey. He's saying, it's going to be okay. There'll be, you can do it again, keep doing it. Stand your ground. Don't let this try and affect you. Pacey just goes and beats up the dude.
Yes.
Action.
Yes.
He takes action. Dawson is Mr. No Action. And
exactly.
In anything, obviously, we always know this. Dawson is the one to mope and whine and whinge and dither around and go for a nice walk and just go, oh dear, everything's terrible. What are you going to do about it, Dawson? Pacey goes immediately, storms down the corridor, storms outside to the car park and grabs Matt Caulfield by the scruff of his neck. You did this. I know you did this. Don't try and act like you didn't do this. What the hell would you do this for? Oh, no, it wasn't me. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, it was. Punchy, punchy, punchy. Pacey's in trouble for no reason whatsoever.
Yes. Because like I like that you mentioned that it really shows the difference between these two characters. And I like that, we laid out how deplorable this guy is. So this deplorable human does something to the woman they both love, and look how drastically different they handle it. And Pacey at his own risk.
They both handle it in commendable ways because, okay, like, it's not like Dawson isn't doing anything. He's definitely there for Joey in
Yes,
this regard.
encouragement, support, all of
100% he
that.
is.
Yeah.
Absolutely he is. I can't fault him for doing that. It is just hilarious to me that, like, Pacey doesn't really offer that same level of, you know, words of reassurance or anything like that. There's some, and they come to an extent, but it
Yeah.
is very much more the actions that Pacey does, the results of those actions that show Joey how he cares. Dawson
Yes.
tells her he cares. Pacey
Pacey
shows
shows
her
her.
he
But
cares.
also what is really interesting is Joey's reaction to Pacey's response. She gets
Mm,
mad, but the reason she gets mad is also very interesting. She gets mad that he's risking his status in school, that he's risking his
yeah,
grades and that for her. So she is mad because she's worried about him getting in trouble.
yeah,
Not
yeah.
mad that he's like fighting or, trying to be this hero. She's mad at him because he's risking himself, because she's worried about him and she cares about him, even though she can't say it in so many words, kind of thing. And in the process of this, it is revealed this kind of not so official pact made between Pacey and Dawson after, Dawson rejected Joey and all of that kind of thing. And they kind of stopped talking. And he asks Pacey to be there for her and look out for her in a way that Dawson really can't at the moment.
Yes.
Pacey reveals that because Joey's scolding him and he's like, look what a guy does helping out a friend. And she's like, what does that mean?
Mm,
And he reveals, well, Dawson told me to look out for you. So then that also hurts her feelings because she feels like, oh, so the only reason that we've gotten as close as we have, that we've been hanging out as much as we have, is because Dawson told you to. So that's the only
and
reason we're
it is
yeah.
a little bit awkward because she's not wrong in a
Yeah,
way,
to
but it's
think that and
developed
feel hurt
past
by
that.
that.
It's developed beyond that,
Yeah.
definitely. But Pacey will never be able to shy away from the fact that that is exactly the reason it began in the first place.
Yes, and even though it's evolved beyond that, that's how it started. So for her to and I love that she kind of stops herself short because she doesn't really even understand the feeling she's having around
Yeah,
Pacey. That she says, "I thought we were," and then she kind of can't really finish the
yeah.
sentence.
It's surprising, really, how much they're beginning to feel like high school kids.
Yeah,
Which
not be
is
yeah,
strange. I feel like now that we've got some sort of love triangle going on, I mean, we had the love triangle, I suppose. Joey, Dawson, Jen, very early on in the
yes,
show's history. Yet it still felt very people in their 20s to me, that for
yeah,
some reason. Maybe because this is very much centered around school, and these particular two episodes are very, very school heavy.
oh yeah,
Um, there's elements to this particular love triangle, if you still want to call it a triangle. It's a triangle with one very weak side, if you ask. It's a 2.5-sided triangle, if you ask. It's a
yeah,
2 1/3-sided triangle, barely a half-sided triangle. But I suppose it still is one, and it
mhm,
does feel very high school
yeah,
because they're not quite able. Maybe this is the difference between Pacey and Joey, and Dawson and Joey. Is Pacey and Joey aren't quite able to speak to each other in the most eloquent way that Dawson and
yes.
Joey are.
Oh, yes, that's a really great point because I was gonna say it feels also like high school because they're not doing the Kevin Williamson complimentary language of them
No, they're
having these
not.
eloquent ways of speaking, eloquent ways of talking, and these kind of deep dives into how they're feeling in every single moment. And I love that sometimes, they do have episodes where they call themselves out for talking so much. But when you look at the Pacey Joey relationship, they don't really talk like that as much or express that much. There's kind of things hidden under the surface, and they talk
It's
very much
action
more like
focused and
yes,
gesture focused.
yes. So yeah, that also I think speaks to the differences in the relationship as well. It's a really good point.
Mm, yeah,
Yeah,
I like it. I like it.
yeah,
It's a different dynamic for the show. It really is. I enjoy this budding relationship. I want to see it actually go somewhere, for goodness sake. But
Well, give it. We have one
give it a
more
few
episode.
episodes, eh? Give it a
Yes.
few episodes.
We have
Okay.
one more episode of the show. We're going to be talking 2 more episodes, and then the one after that is the one featuring my 2 favorite episodes of the season. So we will definitely have a shift a little bit, a very interesting shift. Where we might even do a little promo reaction, because one of the episodes coming up it was an episode big enough to warrant a very kind of specific promo, dramatic promo.
I wonder what happens. Shock. I'll be so shocked, won't I? I won't be. I don't think I'll be shocked.
Good.
I'll be pleasantly satisfied.
It is so good. It is so good. Yes. So.
I can imagine. I really can imagine. But what else have we got going on in here? I suppose Andy and
we
Green have a significant story.
Yes, and we do, and we open already kind of setting up this guy, the vandalizer, as a pretty bad guy, because he's in front of the disciplinary committee that Andy is in charge of with the principal, and he got caught cheating in class. He didn't know the answer to something, and so he got out his cell phone and like called his dad or somebody to give him the answer. And so they
you couldn't just search it up on your phone in
no, it was
from my phone.
Exactly. So he got in trouble, and he's in front of the board, and he's kind of trying to play it cool, like, oh, you know, even the teacher laughed when I did it, and you know, it's not that big a deal, you know. And Andy comes down with a very harsh sentence, but Principal Green,
I kind of love Andy for doing this, but also like she would be so annoying. She gives Hermione Granger a run for her money.
Oh yes,
in terms of strictness of being a student. It is impressive. Well, I think he should be put in prison for 35 years.
Send him to Azkaban.
Just send him to Azkaban. Just ease up, Andy. We don't need to go this harsh.
And that's a lesson that Principal Green had been trying to show her. And like, I think this should have been brought up in the next episode in terms of the punishment that he ultimately gives this kid when it comes to Joey's mural, because he goes easy on Matt Caulfield in this moment. He, got caught calling somebody in class in the middle of the test. He got a perfect score, so that looks kind of suspicious. And he wants to, throw the book at him, but Principal Green is like, no, in the honor of like school spirit, and we'll cut him some slack on this one. So she
is baffled by this. She's flabbergasted.
Yes, exactly. So to speak to the fairness of this guy is illustrated right here in the beginning of this episode. So when you see kind of what he does to him later at the end in the punishment, there should be no thought about it being, any kind of personal attack or anything like that.
No.
Because, this kid was already in trouble earlier on, and he cut him some slack. So, so it already speaks to the character unfairness of Principal Green right up top. So I liked that we kind of had that set up. And so then when he stops Andy to talk to her, he tells her about her PSAT scores and that they kind of rank the highest in the country and all this kind of crazy stuff.
Is she like top 5% in the country?
Yes, and so she's very much like, so now we're rolling back to the stolen PSATs situation. So it's weighing on her. She's having guilt. She doesn't know what to do, especially kind of, and then she actually has a sit down talk, and she tells Jack the truth about it. And she tells him, and we get a nice explanation as to why she did it, that she, felt like everyone was kind of watching her when she came back. She wasn't quite better yet, but she wanted everyone to think that she was. And so in, doing good on this, people could have thought, okay, Andy's fine again. Like, there's nothing wrong with her. People wouldn't be kind of treating her a certain kind of way. And she could convince herself that she was better as well. But now that she is better, she's really kind of sitting with it and really being able to look at what she did with these kind of sobering eyes and clear eyes. So
she's becoming more reasonable of a character.
Yes. So she's able to kind of look at herself in the mirror and kind of figure out, like, why did I do this? And I'm feeling a type of way about it, obviously. So I like that we get a moment of her sitting down and confessing to Jack and really kind of having a moment to explain her reasoning. Because I know you were not a fan, me either, of this kind of shift in her and not taking
Yeah.
accountability and, shifting blame and making excuses for herself and all of that. Just feeling like a really gross kind of shift for the character. Like, a bummer of a shift for the character. So I like that they give us the moment to kind of explain her reasoning and so we can kind of, even if we don't agree, we can understand it, knowing the character that we really grew to love when we first met her. We can at least take a moment to understand her reasonings. So we needed
Yeah.
that scene, and I think it worked really well.
We do. Yeah, we definitely do. It's giving Andy more
Yeah.
humanity again,
Yeah.
which is what we need from her at this point. I mean, Jack's being thrown a little bit to the side at the minute. He had his
Jen as
big things
well.
going on. Jack and Jen are like, we're just forgetting about them for a few episodes here.
Yeah.
They're there, but Jen. I don't think Jen's in this episode at all.
No, and she pops up in the next one, right? I think, to kind of
She's
counsel
definitely
Pacey a
in the
little bit.
next one, but yeah,
Yeah, I
she's
don't even think
definitely
she's
in
in
the next one.
yeah, I don't even think I don't even think she's in this episode at all. Um,
Very weird.
yeah, definitely sidelining these two characters to focus on the triangle and the Andy situation and those kinds of things. But
Look,
yeah.
it's only reasonable though, and obviously
But we
when
did spend a lot of time with Jen too in these previous episodes with the Henry
we did,
things, and then just before that, we got a lot of Jack with the dating situation. So
yeah, we
they
did.
we trickle kind of around. But this being kind of the big story and in um developing the Pacey Joey relationship and also giving our Black characters something to do and highlight
Yeah,
them a little bit as
yeah,
well. So we're highlighting non-regular characters. Um, so some regular characters had to kind of, scooch to the side for just a little bit.
I mean, it makes sense. It
Yeah.
does. Now, the punishment that is ultimately dealt to Matt Caulfield and to Pacey, I suppose. Well, no, it's not quite as serious for Pacey, because not only do we get the fighting punishment for Matt Caulfield, as him and Pacey obviously get into a fight, but there's
Yeah.
also the admission from him of the vandalism.
Yes, which is also a thing they don't want to say. And so Principal Green, in a smart turn, calls both of their best friends to the office to
Yes.
try to shed some light on what the fight was about, because neither of them want to say. So, the fact that Pacey, even though he knows this guy is guilty, he's still in this, like, I'm going to handle this on my own. And I don't want to be a snitch either. Like, he doesn't even want to
Yeah.
say what the guy did because he wants to kind of handle it on the low, like have him, like, his whole thing was like, oh, apologize to Joey.
Yeah.
Like, I think
He doesn't care about anything else. He just
yes.
wants
And I think
him to
Pacey would have
apologize.
left it alone and not
Yeah.
fought him had he just apologized. But then, he throws the first blow, and so it turns into this fight. So yeah, the fact that neither of them want to say what it's about. So Principal Green, in a smart turn, calls both of their best friends. So Caulfield's best friend and Dawson, he calls them in and to shed some light on what this fight was about. And both of them are like, don't say anything. But Dawson, of course, like, goody gunny Dawson, it's for about the mural, this and that. So that's when
Shut up, Dawson.
yes. But Caulfield shoots himself in the foot because he's still trying to deny it. And then he says, I don't want to look at any dumb Chinese drawing anyway, or whatever.
Exactly.
Yes. And Dawson calls him out. It's like, how would you
know what the
know what it
mural
was?
is?
What it was if you didn't see it. Yeah. And he's like,
because
oh,
it was covered up and sealed.
Yes, he's like, anybody could have taken a look. She was working on it. Da, 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 da. And he's like, she was only working on it at night and when no one was here at the school. So how would you have known what it was? And this whole kind of thing. So he kind of gives himself away that he did it, and then he admits, and then he gets into this really gross diatribe of like, I don't need to worry about, why do I want to see this girl's idealistic views every morning? Like, it makes me sick, it offends me. All I need to do is, be white and rich and privileged, and that's all I need to get through life. So screw everyone else, kind of thing he says. And the
He's
look
saying
on
this to Principal Green,
yes,
who
and
is
the
looking
look,
at him
horrified that this is a real human person. Like, yes, and
you can
he's
see
big, he's
Principal Green's
bold enough.
mustache just bristling.
Yes. Uh, just the look he gives him is just so like, this, how is he saying these? How does a person who could say these things really saying them to me, this principal, and in such disrespect? Like, we all had the same face, I think, as Principal Green.
So
sure.
the correct punishment, expulsion.
Yes. So
but no, it causes kickoffs and grief and
yes,
drama and PTA meetings and high court justices or whatever the stupid system is.
School board. Yeah, so school board. So he expels
it might
him.
as well be the Supreme Court, as seriously as it's all taken.
Right?
Why can't we just expel people? I thought we could just expel people as like head teachers or principals or deans or whatever it is.
Yes. And
like in Britain, I'm sure you can just expel people. Yeah, you probably have to talk to the governors, but you don't need this whole court system to do it.
Yeah. So we have like school boards and city councils and those kinds of things, and that whole kind of things to deal with stuff in the district of wherever your school is.
I knew people. I mean, I didn't know them personally, but I knew people at my school when I went to school that got fully expelled. And I don't recall there ever being any sort of known court system, like school-based court, where the governing bodies come in and all this business. I think it was probably just a meeting where it's just like, this happened. Are we all in agreement, governing body? Yes, we are. Okay, bye to you.
Yeah, but then you get all the parents, and it turns into a whole.
The parents have no say. It's the school.
Yes, so this felt very much like the meeting from Footloose.
It did. I don't like it. The parents have no say. The parents have say outside of school.
Yeah. Or that meeting at Cobra Kai when the big old fight broke loose and the whole kind of thing. Yeah,
exactly. It's the same nonsense. It doesn't make sense to me. It must be an American thing.
Yes. So that's kind of how the next episode opens. So we pretty much kind of handle it. Dawson also kind of getting a little bit upset that Pacey revealed, because Joey kind of throws it in Dawson's face that she knows about the deal, and like, why would you do that? And he is like, he explains it. He's like, you weren't talking to me, but I wanted to make sure that you had somebody that you could talk to. And like, it seems to be working out just fine. So why are you crucifying me for caring about you and giving you your space? It wasn't
the worst thing Dawson's ever done.
Exactly.
It really, really wasn't the worst thing Dawson's ever done. I don't think Joey should be particularly upset by it, to be honest with you. I'm always team Joey. You know I'm team Joey. But I do think she needs to see that it was his way of actually being nice to her when truly you didn't want to speak to each other.
Exactly. And he still wanted to look out for you. So I like that Dawson kind of stands his ground a little bit against her, saying, I'm not going to, like, why are you getting upset for me for caring about you and also giving your space, which is what you wanted? So, like, kind of chill out.
Let's all remember the I don't want to know you anymore Dawson line, please, Joey. Which lasted all of 3 seconds of the first episode of season 3.
Essentially, yeah.
And I wasn't a fan of that. So you've got no space to moan about it.
Yes, but I think more of Joey's outrage is the point that, like, she doesn't want to admit that it's hurtful to think that maybe what she's feeling for Pacey, the relationship and friendship that has developed between the two of them, isn't organic or real. It came out of necessity, kind of thing. So I think that's what's hurting her more than anything else. Yes. But of course she can't say that, or she can't understand it right now. So yeah. So I like that kind of is also an underlying conversation that happens for them and their kind of relationship, that whole little point gets revealed. But then like
a lot of things going on.
Yeah, so then she does get the opportunity to kind of repaint her mural, and she goes back and she's painting it white, and Pacey kind of comes over and he's helping her, and Dawson kind of is watching on. So he sees that like, okay, they're good, their friendship is intact, like let them
all
do their
thumbs
thing.
up from here.
Yes, and he kind of
not all
watches.
thumbs up, Janine, but not all thumbs up, because To Green with Love.
Yes.
We don't get the song. We should have gotten the song.
No, we get some really corny ass song about teachers teaching the child. Like
it was the world's worst song. I hate every second of this song.
I can't remember how it goes. Oh no.
Everything's fallen over.
They didn't like the song either. Well, Pacey's the only one left standing.
Good. I'm glad that Pacey's the only one left. He's the only one that deserves to be left.
Survived.
Everybody else can stay on the floor. Pacey and just leave Pacey and Joey there. That's the ones. They're the ones that make sense.
Do you know what I have in this corner? A trash bin.
Dawson.
Dawson Valley.
If this isn't exemplifying everything that's going on in Dawson's Creek at the moment, Pacey and Joey are ultimately fine, stood up there. Dawson falls in the bin.
Yeah.
Absolutely outstanding.
Perfection. So To Green with Love.
While I sing the song, teachers are the ones that shape our future.
Yeah, it was so cheesy. Some cheesy song about teaching the child when a teacher, like it felt like a commercial. It was
the worst parody commercial you've ever watched.
I'm like, this is really supposed to replace the great song To Sir with Love. I
was thinking of all, all those great kind of teacher moments. No, he wasn't. The To Sir with Love song, Lean on Me from Lean on Me, Morgan Freeman, and these big rousing teacher songs.
Yes, I mean, I'll even take Gangster's Paradise, because that was from Dangerous Minds.
Sure, yes. You go Dead Poets Society, even though it's not a song, but it's still, a standing up and a situation, captain, my captain, and all this business.
Yes. This man was no Lulu.
Not in Dawson's Creek.
No, we just get some corner teacher, and he's like trying to do this like Bruce Springsteen kind of singing, like, oh Lord.
Bruce Springsteen crossed with Michael McDonald. It's terrible.
It's so bad. So To Green with Love, episode 316. Power to the people.
Of course it is.
Yes. Which I don't
revolutionary.
Which I don't know if people missed my explanation of these synopses I read that I printed out years ago. Each one opens with like an all caps statement before it gets into the synopsis. So that's why I always read the opening line very extreme, because it's all in all caps and it's just like this flashing line before we get into the synopsis. It's how these were written.
I didn't realize Principal Green had turned into Che Guevara all of a sudden.
Yes, it's very much all caps. Power to the people. Joey relies on the support of Pacey and AJ. So we get some Pacey.
Yes, AJ's back.
I forgot about them. To rally the students in protest against the school superintendent after he forces Principal Green to resign for expelling the student who destroyed Joey's mural. Meanwhile, Dawson and Gail both go back to their respective places in back and in front of the camera to produce a piece about the ongoing school protest, which ruffles more than a few feathers of the school board's hierarchy.
We love a good protest, don't we?
Yes.
Why should we not be protesting? Absolutely, they should be protesting. Just because you're the superintendent doesn't mean, I mean, it does. You have authority. Okay, that's how American school systems work. But what sort of nonsensical decision does he make here? No. You have to resign or reinstate Matkoff. Why do you care so much
or
about
reduce,
this guy?
It was like
Superintendent Chalmers or whatever your name is.
Chalmers from Simpsons, is that?
He'd be better off with Superintendent
Superintendent
Chalmers. He doesn't like the principal either.
Yes. So yeah, we open with this big school board meeting, or this, school board kind of council meeting with the parents, where everyone is freaking out. And we kind of cut to like Joey, Pacey, and Dawson sitting in the crowd, like kind of just lamenting how crazy and big this has gotten over her mural kind of thing. And we have Matt Caulfield's dad going on about, my son should not have been expelled, not taking any responsibility. And I think they're asking for a reduced sentence, not like to completely not punish him at all, because he's being expelled from school. So like he's done with school for the year, would have to like redo the year or something. So,
or go to a different school like other expelled.
Yeah, exactly. Just do that. But no, they want a reduced sentence, or they're going to ask Principal Green to resign, kind of thing. So, Joey stands up and she defends Principal Green, and of course they dismiss her. But we do get one lady on the school board talking about how, if you were watching your son, he has a whole long record of disciplinary problems. So maybe you need to worry more about your kid than other people's kids, and that kind of thing.
Because he tries to, oh yes,
yeah, because he tries to insinuate about something about Joey not living up to the values of Cape Side because of her family and this and that. And so that I love
what
that
are the values
lady
of Cape Side, Mr. Caulfield. I'll tell you what your values of Cape Side are. We all know what they are, don't we? Oh yes, insular, white. That's your
rich.
Cape Side.
Yes, rich. And so after he says that, then I love. Yes, exactly. And so that's why I love when we get that school board lady kind of standing up for Joey and saying, well,
very nice.
Your son has a rap sheet this long, so maybe you aren't living up to it as a parent, because look what your kid is running around doing all the time. So
it was like watching. It was like watching government. It was like watching Parliament. Yeah. I don't know if I mean, God, the US government. We're not even going to talk about the US government, but it's like watching British Parliament, where people are just
all shouting, and you can't
from the side, from each side. It's just chaos.
And so yes, that's how we open this episode, with this kind of angry meeting, and the rich, affluent parents, and Matt Caulfield's dad kind of making all up in arms, making a big stink about this, and the superintendent obviously feeling some sort of pressure from the elite people and the elite parents who probably donate to the school and this and that and whatever. So
see, this is the thing, isn't it? It's Lucy, Harry Potter again. It's Lucius Malfoy all over again, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, because I think at a certain point, either in the last episode or this one, Caulfield mentions, "Do you know who my father is?" kind of thing. He says some crap like that.
The same storyline.
Yes.
And the headmaster is forced out of the
exactly
school.
Mr. Green is Dumbledore.
Dumbledore is forced out of the school
because of the rich
due
parent
to Lucius Malfoy.
Yes, exactly. Same storyline. So yeah, that's kind of how we open, and then we get Joey feeling this little bit of guilt about this, and so she's talking to, who is she talking to? I think she's talking to Pacey about, I think after the thing, and she's like just kind of like going on and on about like all her frustrations, and they tell her, well, why don't you do something about it? And so that's when it kind of gives her the idea to kind of protest and do all that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it's Pacey, because Pacey liked action.
Yes. And so that's kind of when she starts this whole protesting thing to protest this forced resignation of Principal Green. And then I like
situation. There's pickets, there's banners, there's signs,
she's trying to get
there's signatures.
Yes, because it's been a great kind of laying out of groundwork, as I always talk about what I love about this show, and what it does really well is the kind of circle back of things. So we've seen so many moments, even in such a short time of having Principal Green on the show, we've seen these moments of him not just interacting with our regular characters, but really endorsing in school spirit and really being involved and active, all the stuff he wanted to do for the football team to help them look like winners and those kinds of things. And so we've seen him throughout the course of his time on the show and the season really being active an active principal who really cares about the school and cares about the students and all of that stuff. So when it kind of circles back later to people wanting to have his back and things, it makes a lot of sense. It reads really well. So when Joey kind of puts out this rally cry, she is supported. And even that great kind of to sir with love moment that we get near the end, with
Yeah.
everyone
I mean,
kind of
these are the
standing up.
best.
Yeah.
These aren't only the best teachers you could ever wish for, are they? Like the principal, the head teacher, whatever it is, doesn't do direct teaching. Doesn't really, does they? But they are the embodiment of that whole organization, that
Yeah.
whole school. They're not on, they're not in the classroom with you, but they are the ones you see and
Yeah.
are running the entire ship, the captain of the ship,
Yeah. It felt
the leader of any sort of workplace, anything like that. The best ones are always the ones that are like Principal Green, that interact with everybody,
yeah.
that take everybody's opinion on board, and aren't just
And it's
sat
very
in
fair.
some
Yeah.
closed off room somewhere
Yeah.
that you don't even know, that you would be terrified to go to. Nobody's terrified to talk to Principal Green, and that is the best thing about him.
Yeah, like, I can't barely remember any school principals I had because they were always up in an office somewhere. They were never, like, involved with the students. Like, you think of, like, you mentioned it, in when we were talking about all the better teacher songs than this episode, of Lean on Me. He's very much like that principal of Morgan Freeman's principal in terms of knowing kids'
Yeah,
names, walking down the hall,
yeah,
looking out for them. They can go to him, even if there's kind of something gone wrong with their home life. He'll show up at their house and make sure everything's okay. I could see Principal Green being that type of principal, like, even
definitely.
outside of the school. And even when Nikki talks about her father and how she, when she kind of gives her speech about him, and talks about how that's all he talks about is his students in his school and how proud he is and like what this kid did today and what happened and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I
So
can't
yeah,
say I ever felt this particular vibe from my high school head teacher.
yeah,
Um, I will have spoken to him at some point, but like, would he have known my name offhand just in passing in the corridor? Probably not.
yeah,
No. Would he have known most people? But probably not. No. Funnily enough, my primary school head teacher, I would feel this more towards her. I mean, she was an old-fashioned woman, but I would certainly feel this vibe more from her than I
yeah,
would from my high school head teacher.
yeah.
And it's nice to have that actual, I'm not actively scared of you.
Yes.
Which isn't something you should be. I mean, okay, should you be scared of your leader? No, you should respect your leader, because
Yes.
the fear comes from not wanting to disappoint them. Andy's story, for example.
Yes. And so, yeah, even her situation, she feels comfortable going to him and talking to him about it and everything like that. And he's very, and he knows, because he knows her, he knows how to handle the situation. He knows how to talk to her about it and that kind of thing.
He'd have turned Cape Side High around, Janine. He was doing, and now it's all been thrown away because of Superintendent Chalmers.
Yes, we'll just keep calling him that.
I don't remember his name.
Yeah, I don't remember his name either. But yeah, an interesting twist as well, as the synopsis says, is that Dawson, in this kind of lost state of not really thinking about movies right now, trying to find other things, trying to just be a kid, and Gail not being rejected in her field,
Yeah.
and this being kind of a spur kind of thing for the two of them to really kind of delve back into their lanes. So Dawson kind of encourages his mom to, hey, why don't you cover it? And I can, be your crew kind of thing. So I love this kind of mother-son
This was
bonding.
phenomenal journalism at play here as well.
Yes.
I must say.
I loved getting
Excellent
to
work from
see
Gail.
I loved getting to see Gail be good at her job, in comparison to like kind of the girl who replaced her, this young blonde girl who was at the school board meeting as well, who did a
Who's
report.
like
So
actively awful and actively just bends the truth
Yes, because then when they
horrific
watch the news,
degrees.
yes, because then when they watch her news coverage later of the three of them being at that school board meeting, Joey had said something and she chopped it up and changed the whole context of what Joey said. So that also
Well, you
kind of
can
was the
probably
fruit.
sue for that. You could probably sue for that.
Yes, because she totally
That is
reinterpreted what Joey said. And so,
that
yeah,
is
later.
defamation of character. You could
Exactly.
definitely sue for
Yes.
that.
So she's gonna get her news station in trouble. But I love that this kind of gives this excuse for not just some good mother-son bonding time. Because I like the
Yes.
moments between Gail and Dawson and those kind of
Yeah, we don't get them
conversations they
often.
have. Yes, I like, Dawson with his parents moments. Those always play really nicely when he has like one-on-ones with Mitch or one-on-ones with Gail. It's really nice. And Dawson's kind of support of her and that kind of thing. Um, so I like that they get this bonding time because as we saw, his punishment was to kind of be this indentured servant to his mom and do whatever she needed him to do in the restaurant
Yes.
that she's putting together. So he said, well, hey, I can be your crew for this. Let's do it. And so they team up and they start covering the Mr. Green stuff. So they're there at one of the protests that Joey's arranging. And the blonde lady's like, oh, Gail, what station are you doing this for? She's like, oh, no station. I'm just doing it, covering the thing. And she's like, oh, and she kind of has kind of a snooty response to Gail, kind of trying to get back into the game. And then she asks Joey for an interview, and like Joey's like, no thanks, Barbie, I'm not talking to you, kind of thing, and gets rejected by her. And at this protest that's kind of being set up, guess who else is there? AJ. So we get the Skulls and the Skulls part 2 straight to video, actually kind of meeting face to face. And Pacey, we see a little bit of his jealousy simmering under the surface as AJ's talking about how incredible Joey is, and he's like, "Yeah,
Yes,
she's a
we do.
peach."
I mean,
Yeah,
I don't disagree with AJ's kind of attitude towards Pacey's name when he says like, what sort of a name is Pacey? Because ultimately, what sort of a name is Pacey? Like, I knew it was a name because you ever, even, long before we ever did Discovering Dawson's Creek, you were talking to me about Dawson's Creek. So I was aware of Pacey, the character played by Joshua Jackson.
yeah.
So, but it is an odd name that I've never come across in any other context.
And it's not like it's ever been a boom, like a name like that just like became popular, even though like Pacey, if you were of a certain age, Pacey is a beloved TV show character. Like,
yes,
people love him. So the fact that like his name didn't become a thing, like, when you talk about the name Madison and that came out of Splash because, that was that character. No one was ever named Madison until the mermaid named herself Madison, seeing Madison Avenue. And then and around the time that movie came out, that became a popular name. Like, that tends to happen. So the fact that like Pacey didn't really catch on as like a name that people were doing is interesting because I'd never heard it before. We have people calling themselves, naming their kids Khaleesi and Daenerys and all that kind of thing.
Yeah,
when that was popular,
now called Daenerys.
Yes. So I would have thought that there would have been a boom of Pacey's, but that didn't really happen.
What would you have now? What should children be named now?
Ooh,
who's popular? Nothing's that popular anymore. Everybody's just niche popular now.
Yeah, there's too many things, I think.
There's too many things now. You just have to hone in on one thing. What's the biggest TV show in the world these days? Can you even answer that question?
No.
Or am I forgetting something that's plainly obvious?
Yeah, I mean, I don't watch really TV like that, but there's so many things all coming out at the same time. But I don't know that there's one thing that like the cultural pulse is on because there's so many things.
No.
Like maybe in a couple months we'll see a bunch of kids named Andor. I don't Cassian Andor.
I mean, I maybe. I don't know.
Cassian Andor Smith. I don't know. We'll see. But just now that I think about it, and you said what kind of name is Pacey, I'm like, yeah, that's not a name I ever heard before or have heard since.
AJ. I'm just saying AJ questions it. That's all.
Yes, until I named my dog Pacey. My first ever pet was named
Yes,
Pacey.
your first dog.
I do have a picture of him in this binder at the end of the season synopses. So, um, yes, that it's funny that he does bring that up. But yeah, it's kind of like them actually coming face to face, and Pacey really kind of having to let his jealousy simmer under the surface, and seeing AJ kind of be helpful, and Joey being all excited that he's there. And so I like this dynamic that Pacey just has to kind of like sit back and grumble, like kind of thing. Yeah, and he's kind of more integrated into this thing that Joey's doing, that he almost kind of that Pacey encouraged her to do, but AJ is kind of there like helping out, and she's kind of giving AJ a lot of the credit for it, kind of thing. So that also kind of playing into Pacey like frustration a little bit. So yeah, we get an interesting dynamic out of this as well, with the new guy kind of coming in, and Pacey having to contend with that a little bit.
He's just the nothing little conflict character, though, isn't he?
I told you, he's straight to video Skulls. He will never be the original
he's not the
theatrically
real
released Skulls with Joshua Jackson.
He's just the one you put on when you've not got the other one, the proper one, ready yet.
Okay, so that's how you're viewing this situation.
That's how I'm viewing this whole situation. Joey's just there with AJ. Okay, there's a bit of a kiss and a bit of a smoochy smooch and all this business, but it doesn't mean anything, does it?
Okay, you're not reading them as endgame. It doesn't mean
a damn thing.
You're not reading them as endgame at all?
No, I'm reading it as utterly nonsense. It doesn't even need to be there. I don't even understand why it's there. I mean, I do, but why is it even there? It doesn't need to be. It doesn't serve any real purpose, because there's conflict in the Joey Pacey situation anyway. We don't need to just another layer
compound on it. Okay.
Okay. It's there anyway.
Yes. But I like seeing Pacey kind of get under his skin, and him having to like bite his tongue a little bit. It's funny. It's a little bit of comedic relief in terms of that whole dynamic. But yeah, so Joey's doing all of this to kind of rally people and get, the support for Principal Green. Gail shows some, top-notch reporting when she does an interview with Superintendent Chalmers.
I wish it was Superintendent Chalmers, actually, now. At least Superintendent Chalmers is funny.
Yes, and ridiculous. This guy is, just doesn't know what he's talking about, as Gail proves in this little scene. When she is interviewing him, and he's talking about how he's doing it for the community and the values of the community. And she has him read this contract, and and it says that, the job of the superintendent is to protect the children of the school and this and that, and put their interests before anything else. And she's like, that is your contract that you signed. It's your signature right there on the bottom. And it says nothing about protecting the community or doing anything for the community. It says you're
not the mayor.
Yes, your job is to put these kids and what they need first above anything else. So
they need Principal Green.
Yes. And so yes, and so he has nothing to say. The centrifuge, and he's to kind of storms out. And then Gail just kind of gives Dawson a little wink, like, we got him. So very, very wonderful scene, getting to see Gail, really thrive and be good at her job and that whole kind of thing. So, which plays into kind of what she learns at the end. A station does agree to pick up her reporting. And I do think they offer her a job, but she ultimately turns it down. And he's like, oh, I thought that's what you wanted. And she's like, well, in the time that I've had away from it, I realized I think I just wanted the opportunity to say no. I'm in the restaurant business now. I'm committed to this. So she just wanted to know that, like, she was still good. She can
still do it. She knows she can still do it. And she
needed them to know that she needed them to know and want her to still do it. but
Exactly.
leave on her own terms, not leave because nobody wanted her. Leave because she's making the decision to leave. So I love that we give that to Gale. Like Gale's secondary character, not really the focus of things, but I love that we still give his parents like these really strong arcs and character development and things to their stories as well.
Yeah, because I
So
mean, ultimately, the whole drama of the entire show was
kicked off
comes
with Gale.
stems from Gale.
Yes,
It stems
exactly.
from
Episode
Gale.
1, end of episode 1 cliffhanger was Gale. So, um, yeah, I love that we give her this validation because we love Gale. So, yeah, I like that for her.
She's done bad things in her life, but she's a human being.
Yes. Yes.
She's a
So,
character. She's a fully fledged character, and we do like her.
yes.
We
So I
want
love
to
that.
see good for her.
Yeah, so she's going to be now a restaurateur on her own
Mm,
terms. So we love that
yes.
for Gail. Um yeah,
Final
and
big pursue with love moment. I feel
we
like we never
yeah,
get to.
Dawson and Gail go to interview Principal Green, and he's been quiet this whole time. He hasn't been a part of these protests. He hasn't said anything. And I love what he talks about. He is very much like, they are painting me out to be this militant, angry Black man who's
Mm,
on this tirade against this privileged white kid. If I say I don't want to feed into that, I know the reasons why I handed down the sentence I did, and I don't need to justify that to anybody. So I'm not saying anything. So just how dignified this man is, and how
very,
much
very dignified.
of the
Very,
conviction
very
he has in
Poitier-esque.
yes, he's definitely giving that. And I wish we could put people in the Mustache Hall of Fame on this show because it's an
I
incredible
mean,
mustache.
it is an incredible mustache. It is.
Yes. That's why I think this actor, he tends to play like very much like 50s characters in movies and things.
Yeah,
Um
yeah, I can see it. I can see it.
figures or band leaders and things like that because he very much gives off that energy with that mustache in particular. But yeah, I love how dignified he is. Nikki very much wanting him to fight as well, but him like, no,
Mm,
Nikki, like, because Nikki's the one who told them to come over there for the interview, but he's like, I didn't say I was going to do an interview. He's like, oh, well, we talked to Nikki, and she's like, well, I just wanted you to give your side of the story. He's like, I know my side, and that's all that matters to me. I'm not
yeah.
gonna play into what these people are painting me to be. I'm not gonna be angry or any of those things. I know why I did it, and that's all I need to know, kind of thing.
It's
So he's not.
very calm, very zen way of
Yes,
thinking.
yes, and it speaks to just kind of how Black people generally have to deal with situations. People want to paint them out like angry and militant and all these things, and so they have to work extra hard to show that they're not that.
Mm,
Um, because any little fight in them gets skewed in a really disgusting way, which is what's happening. And it's generally a thing of Black people, of Black culture when it comes to fighting for what they believe in, kind of thing. So yeah, I love that a lot of this stuff is in here because you wouldn't expect to see it on Dawson's Creek, and we're dealing with
you would
uh
not.
and we're dealing with Black characters, and I like that they don't take this colorblind approach to them. That when their race is inherently a part of what is happening in the story, they lean into it. They don't shy away from it or make it about something else. They
Yeah.
tell us that the him being Black is a part of this criticism. So yeah, we ultimately Joey is kind of getting frustrated with the situation and how they're handling it, and how they're coming for him so hard and all of this. And so we get this really great scene of Joey and Bodhi and Bessie talking about it. And Joey kind of says in not so many words why it pisses her off, why people are coming for him in this way. And Bessie doesn't really get it. So Bodhi kind of breaks it down as being the Black guy
Yeah.
on this show. Joey is saying that they wouldn't be coming down so hard on this guy if he was white. If he was white and
No.
he had made the same judgment on this kid, I don't think they would be asking him to resign.
No, it would be accepted. It would be reluctantly
Yes.
accepted, but it would be accepted.
Yes, and Bessie very much doesn't like hearing that. She doesn't kind of want to accept that that's what is happening because she lives in this
Uh,
world where she struggles with it, I think, a little bit.
she does, but she's also, this is the nature of it, isn't it?
Mhm.
Bessie is with a Black man.
Yeah.
actively.
Yes.
So you need to you need to understand. You can't just say, "Oh dear, well I don't want to talk about that."
Yeah.
It's
You
not
have
an
a black
option, is it? Like
you
you have just stand by your partner. Basically,
Yes,
that's
you
all
have
you
a
need to
black
do.
child, you have a black son, so, like, girl, just it's hard to hear, it is hard to hear, even if you are an ally person, like, it is hard
Of
to
course, it
hear
is.
the real struggle of the people that you care about, and to hear that that's what the world is when you are, a part of that world, so, yeah,
Of
it's
course, it is.
interesting
But
to
stand
see.
by them.
Yes, but it's interesting to show that perspective because there are people who kind of
It is.
wanna not believe that that's really how people think. That,
Yeah.
because when I bring up something, sometimes I've had people who when I bring up something and, look at all the controversy around, Ironheart and, when Black people
I
kind of
actually haven't
maybe.
seen any, and I don't mean to say this in a kind of ignorant sense, but
Mhm.
I haven't seen much about Ironheart. What
And
is
that is
the
also
controversy?
And that is, also the issue that, like, people are complaining about, that that Marvel did no promotion for this show. And so when people are talking about that aspect of no promotion for the show, and the fact that it got review bombed before it even came out, and all the criticism around it, nobody wants this. If there was gonna be a girl Iron Man, it should have been his daughter, people not even realizing that she was a comic book character, that,
Mm.
had this whole storyline of making an Iron Man style suit and this whole kind of thing.
I
Um,
mean,
that
she was already in a movie, right?
Yeah, she was
Or
in
show?
Wakanda. She was in Wakanda Forever.
Yeah, she was in Wakanda
Yes.
Forever.
The show was supposed to come out, I think, in 2022 and all, and I think the strikes and things got it pushed and moved and all
Ah,
this
okay.
stuff. And then when it was about to come out, there was really no promotion for it. And then it got review bombed by, a bunch of kind of
Clearly,
racist
I
people. So,
barely knew it was out.
yes. So people can talk about that and and say that it feels very racially motivated, the hate for this show. And then you'll
Mm,
have people telling you why do you have to make everything about race? These are people who consider themselves allies who aren't racist, but don't want to believe that they live in a world where that is kind of as open as it is, which I think now it's easier to
yeah.
believe now, but maybe 10 years ago, you would get people like, or even in the time that the
Yeah,
show came out, you would get more people like Bessie not wanting to believe that the world was like that and be like, why do you have to make it about race? Not everything is about race. Why do you jump to that conclusion? Not
mm,
understanding what it feels like to be in those shoes. So I think
yeah,
that's kind of where a little bit of Bessie's anger comes from. But she ultimately comes around with the understanding of I'm supporting the
she
people I
does.
love and that whole
Well,
kind of
like,
thing.
exactly, and, it's why we can't condemn Bessie because
No, and
she
it's not,
actively
yeah.
comes around and she actively does. 'Cause she just takes a minute to, and that's fine as
Yes,
well.
and it comes from this fear of like, I don't wanna believe that the people I love are being hated because of this stupid thing of what their skin looks like. It's her just being scared to believe such a hurtful thing about people she cares about, that the world
Yeah,
could be so hurtful to people who look like the people she loves, kind of thing. So
yeah,
her hurt and kind of distance from it is coming from an understandable place, like a good place of care for the people she cares about. But yeah, she ultimately kind of comes around on the support aspect of that kind of thing. As she kind of shows up to the big final protest kind of meeting that they have. So yeah, they have this kind of big meeting, but yeah, I just have to speak to Bodhi, just really calling it out as it is. And I love kind of the little funny thing too. He's like, "What are there? Only 10 black kids at that school?" And Joey's like, 11. So
that
thank you
doesn't
very
make it
much.
any better, Joey.
Yes, but like she's got a joking response, like, "Yeah, there's like hardly any black kids at the school." So I love that kind of little moment because yeah, it's something for people who are black to kind of be like, we get it. So I love that there was a lot of
That checks out.
yes, I love that there are a lot of black people like kind of moments in these episodes.
Yeah,
So yes, and I love that Bodhi gets a moment to like express his perspective. So great. And RIP to that actor who, yeah, I think we
has he
talked about him.
died?
Yeah, I think we talked about it a few months ago when the news came out. Like he was paralyzed. I think he was in a wheelchair. I think he maybe lost his
God,
legs or something. He got a car accident. I think it was a double amputee or something like that.
God.
And then he ended up dying. Yeah. So
Very sad.
Yes, yes, I think either earlier this year or something like that. I think
Wow.
that came out, like, in January or something, but yes, RIP to him, but he's great in the scene, and I love that they give him some moments here. So yeah, we get the kind of final little protest moment where they're all in the gym, or in, like,
Assembly hall type
assembly,
stuff.
yes, auditorium, whatever, and, um, everyone kinda stands up and talks about a moment that Principal Green was there for them or supported them.
Now he
Um,
hasn't been at the school for that long, and everybody
no.
seems to have a moment, and this is
Yes.
very significant.
Yes. Um, oh, we also kinda deal with Andy's thing as well, where she does pack up, like, all her stuff. She goes to talk to
Yeah.
Principal Green, and it
I
con
guess I'm expelled now. I mean, she doesn't say it like that, but
and
I will be.
confesses.
I accept my expulsion. Like,
Yes.
you're not expelled, Andy. Yes, I am. I must be. I have to be. You're not
Yes.
expelled, Andy. But
Yes, he's
that's what I deserve.
yes, and that's what you did to Caulfield, like, and my actions are no less, worse than his. And he's like, I would never give you the same, sentence as him because he wouldn't benefit,
No, it's
from
all
my
about intent.
leniency. Yeah, he wouldn't benefit from my leniency. You would. Like, you are here in my office now being very remorseful, you know, knowing what you did was wrong, that kind of thing. Caulfield doesn't feel bad about anything. So I would not, we'll talk about it and we'll figure out the best way to go forward from here. So he's very lenient to her and very fair to her um and she appreciates that. So yeah, so she can get up there and talk about him in that way because they had this moment of and him trying to teach her about kind of the best way to enact that type of power over people and not to be so tough all the time and try to be more fair and that kind of thing. So, she learned a real lesson from him.
Yeah.
So yeah, we get to see all the students kind of stand up and say this great moment, and then Nikki goes up there and talks about, I hear, I haven't been here very long and I don't know a lot of you, but what I know of you is what my father tells me every night over dinner. He tells me about his students and he tells me about his school. It's all he ever talks about, because he cares about you all so much. And then he comes out. And so he gets a moment to kind of finally speak.
Yes.
And it's a really great, powerful moment. And yeah, we love our little to sir with love moment here, with
Because he
with
is
this
forced to
teacher.
resign, because he
Yeah.
will not back down from his
Yeah. Mhm.
decision,
Yeah.
which is he shouldn't.
Yeah.
Full credit to him for having that stubbornness, I suppose.
Yeah. Mhm.
It's stubbornness in the positive sense.
Yeah.
And it's a bittersweet end, I suppose,
Yeah.
because
So he ends up in his
everybody's been
office
changed by this. Everybody's been changed by this
by
man,
and
but
the short
he
time he's been there. Yeah, like as you
very
said.
short time, but he
Mhm.
is forced to leave.
Yes, and so, he has this talk in his office with Joey, and she, like, feels bad, like, she feels like she failed him in this kinda thing, and he's like, "Oh, no, not at all." Like, he thanks her for what she did and, commends her for her work and all of this stuff, and then as he walks out of the office, he's met by, a crowd of people on either side as he walks through, cheering for him, clapping for him as he walks, and we hear that
Yes.
stupid
Guard
teaching
of
the
honor.
child
Stupid song.
show. Oh yeah, teaching the child. Whatever that stupid corn ass song is, I'm playing it. I implore you to go
It is
listen to this
so
song. It's
bad.
terrible. It's
Please
terrible.
go and say. I mean,
I don't even
what
know
on
what it
earth
is.
would this song be
I
called?
don't
Should
know.
I quickly try and
Yes,
figure out what
let's
this
try to figure
song
out.
would be would be referred to as? So there's one song on the soundtrack.
No, it was not on the soundtrack. I owned all the
No,
soundtracks.
sorry, there's one song on the soundtrack to this
Oh,
episode,
okay, okay. And what does it
and
say?
it's called "In the Garden" by Terry Kelly. So
That must be that.
potentially it is that. Please go and listen to it. It's horrific.
So cornballs. So cornballs,
If
this
it's
song.
not that, it will be very obvious that if it is that, it will be very obvious that it is that,
Yes.
basically. That it's what we're
Yes.
talking about.
Yeah, it's very cornballs indeed. But yeah, so we get this nice goodbye. for Nikki, so we lose our black
Yeah.
characters and Principal Green
Yeah.
as they walk down the halls to these cheers of the crowd. And yeah,
I mean, do we get any more racial diversity in Dawson's Creek, Janine, or does it just stay
yeah, stays.
stunningly white?
Yes, it stays pretty white after this.
Well, of course, that is Cape Side, very, very, wide area where only the white people should be, according to Mr. Caulfield.
Yes, pretty much.
Great episodes.
Yes.
Of Dawson's Creek. Really, really good. Very much enjoyed them. And enjoyed this fun discussion. A bit longer than normal as well for an episode of Discovering Dawson's Creek. It's very exciting. A lot to say on these two episodes. Today, of course, this is Morgan Hasn't Seen TV, isn't it? That's the point of what we do here on Mondays on the It's a Wonderful Podcast YouTube channel. Do subscribe and ding your notification bell, of course, on this channel. Leave your likes and your comments and all that fun stuff down below. Things have been scrolling down at the bottom of the screen all episode long as well. Subscribe to the main podcast feed, It's a Wonderful Podcast, wherever you get your podcasts on all major platforms. For Morgan Hasn't Seen the parent show, movies, obviously. And the main show, It's a Wonderful Podcast itself. But yes, if you want to support us on Patreon or donate or merch or social media or all that good stuff is in the description down below. Talking Ted Lasso will be back next week, of course, as that is the show this alternates with. We are coming very close to the end at the moment of Ted Lasso as well, so we will be putting another show in its place once we reach the end of the season of Ted Lasso, which we're not far off at all. But we'll be back with Discovering Dawson's Creek in 2 weeks' time, and I'm very much looking forward to it, Janine. Very much so, as we really truck on to the end of season 3 as well. There's not going to be that much long left, is there? What is it, 23 episodes or something like that?
Yeah.
Back when TV used to be properly lengthed and not just, you get, or I should say American TV, because British TV has always either been absolutely continuous or you have 12 episodes and no more ever.
Yeah.
6 seasons, 23 episodes each, apart from the first season of this, which was 13 or whatever it was. Lots of episodes of television. Good ones, though. We'll be back very soon. There is only one thing left to do. Of course there is, Janine. And in your finest Principal Green.
Oh, I thought you were going to have me do that Kelly guy. Terry Kelly.
No, please.
You don't want me to sing it like Terry Kelly?
No, please don't. In fact, I want you to sing To Sir With Love if you want to, but just put To Green With Love in there instead.
Oh my God. Okay. To Green With Love.
And now we can go and all watch To Sir With Love, because it's a very good movie.
Good.
Bye.